For years, Janet Lamping looked around her house and saw nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with the incredible clutter that was overwhelming her family.
Do you consider yourself a hoarder?
I don't. No.
When her husband died, she admits the stress added to her desire to buy lots of things and throw away almost nothing.
We made it 2 months shy of our 31st wedding anniversary, and it was after he died that this just became a disaster.
Whether she admits it or not, Janet has a problem known as hoarding, and it is a lot more complicated than you might imagine. As in so many cases, it was a loved one who called for help.
Amy, thank you so much. I love you. You're welcome.
Her daughter Amy was desperate.
I felt completely helpless and kind of like I was watching a train wreck in slow motion every time I came home.
She isn't alone.
This is my bedroom.
Wow. You know, you can hardly walk in here.
That's right.
You realize that's a little bit of a problem, right?
Well, that's not as much of a problem as not being able to find stuff I'm looking for.
82-year-old Lloyd Drum has a problem too, but he's no pack rat, and this isn't a question of simple tidiness.
When's the last time you cleaned up this room?
Well, I'd see, about a month ago I cleaned up the area over here so I could find something that I was looking for.
There are stacks of videotapes, even cardboard toilet paper rolls and old television sets. Out back, more piles. He has a huge collection of bicycles piled up in a shed, and in the garage, a car which hasn't seen the light of day in years is buried inside.
Why is it they have a hard time parting with things? Can you explain that to someone looking in who might say, boy, you got a lot of junk, you should probably just throw some of it away?
I've always enjoyed things in quantity. When I have something in quantity, I feel wealthy. Now, that's not a conscious thing, it's just something I've figured out.
Hoarding isn't as rare as you might imagine. It's also a phenomenon just strange enough to become a hit TV show. The A&E show Hoarders, which goes inside the cluttered world of people who can't seem to throw anything away, is a breakout hit and the network's #1 rated program.
I guess you kind of adapt and you kind of get used to the clutter.
It features homes overrun by everything from bugs,
Bed bugs have gotten into our house,
to beer cans,
I say that my collection is 22,000.
to rooms that look more like the aftermath of a natural disaster.
Wait, is the bed under all of this?
Yeah.
In fact, some of the people they visit appear to have turned their homes into garbage dumps.
My mother chose garbage over being able to raise her son.
I'm going to climb in because I'm kind of set up for it.
Dorothy Brenninger helped out with the show's pilot.
Careful. Don't worry about me.
She's a professional organizer who spends each and every day working with people, trying to overcome what is in many cases a debilitating problem.
We have lots of weird horror stories. One of the worst things that we face is, when people are caught in conditions when they're stuck and they can't get out from under their own stuff that has slid on top of them.
She keeps the tools of her trade neatly organized in the trunk of her car.
So we've got masks and gloves, and I always bring extras because we're going to be touching some things that...
It's that bad.
It's that bad. Well, and don't forget there's the hantavirus that occurs when you have a lot of rat
Rodents.
droppings and things like that, and oftentimes we have animals, so we've got animal food.
You carry food.
We carry food. So we want to settle them down and get them happy so that we can meet with the hoarders.
Her friend James Williams, who owns a 1-800-GOT-JUNK franchise, is often brought in to help, and he has horror stories.
We've seen some stuff that could be rides at Disneyland. I've been called from a crew in one instance where they actually had to abort the job. It was just...
What do you mean?
They just couldn't do it. They couldn't. A couple of them had vomited. They had gotten sick on the job site. There was human feces there. It was just literally a mess.
Everyone knows someone who keeps too much old junk around or has a hard time clearing away life's accumulated clutter, but those who've studied it say hoarding is different.
Hoarding is a condition that is thought to be related to obsessive compulsive disorder. And this is a really severe problem that actually affects quite a few people. It's probably about 2 to 5% of the population.
UCLA's Dr. Jamie Fusner studies hoarding and offers therapy for people trying to overcome it. He says simply helping them clean up isn't the answer.
When you talk to them, you'll find out that it's not so easy as, oh, they just haven't had the time, or they've been putting it off, or they just got kind of busy and these things piled up. But they really have difficulty throwing away almost every little thing that most other people would consider trash.
Janet Lamping insists it's not a mental disorder, and after cleaning her house from an overwhelming mess to a mostly clutter-free home with Dorothy's help, she says the problem is manageable.
You hear Dorothy on your shoulder,
chattering
in your ear, right?
Dorothy, yes, and I can hear her saying, do it now. Just put it in a box, get rid of it.
Her house still has rooms that aren't normal, but she says she's working on it and has the problem under control. Her daughter doesn't share her mom's optimism that all the work done cleaning up her house has solved the problem buried underneath.
I don't think you can just jump right out of something like this. This has taken years and years to get to where it was, and it's going to take years to get out of it, I think.
I'm really proud of you.
Well, thank you.
I'm really proud of you.
That's important to me that you're proud of me.
Lloyd, too, is working on his problem with Dorothy's tireless help. The once tidy MIT student as a young man understands his problem better than most.
I want to ask you a question, and don't take offense to this, please.
Sure, I don't take offense easily. Go ahead.
There are those who believe this type of hoarding is a mental illness.
Yeah.
Do you think that's the case?
Well, I think there's probably a mental component to it, but I don't think it's that severe in my case. Maybe it indicates that I'm lonely and want something around me to keep me company.
You think that's what it is?
Well, I think that's part of it.
For Lloyd, all this clutter is no bother at all. Like so many others in his shoes, a look around the house doesn't find garbage, but some of life's most important and treasured possessions. I'm Neil Karlinski for Nightline in Los Angeles.